Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar of a series of 4 webinars conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming CIMA strategic case study examinations, which are happening in May 2023. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. So first things first, as you already know, the pre-scene is out. So I will be taking you through the pre-scene. Before that, I'll talk about, give me a second, please, guys. Two more people are joining in. Right. All right. So sorry about that. So first things first, I'm going to talk about pre-scene application because it's of utmost importance that you bring in information from the pre-scene when developing your answers, especially since you are playing the role of a senior finance manager and you are directly reporting to the board and you are involved with strategic decision making or decision making which impacts the long-term direction of the company. So in such a context, whenever you are providing recommendations, you need to relate to the company. That's the best way to gain marks at this examination. Why? Because as a senior finance manager, you'd be getting a lot of marks for application. Just because you know your theory, you cannot pass this exam. You are involved with decision making, so you need to understand how theory as well as pre-seen information is applied within your answer. So that's the first part, and in the second part, I'll be taking you through an industry analysis, which is not based on the information provided within the pre-scene, but I'll be considering real life dynamics of the considered industry, which is the logistics industry, on which this time's pre-scene is based. So I'll be talking about the real life dynamics of the logistics industry, which will help you better understand what happens within the industry, and this knowledge will be extremely beneficial for you when developing your answers at your exam. And in the third and final part, I'll be taking you through a pre-scene analysis. Please be mindful that our full pre-scene analysis videos consists of four videos in total. In the first video, I've conducted an industry analysis. In videos 2 and 3, I've explained the internal dynamics of the company, Daistruk. And in the fourth and final video, I've conducted a financial analysis based on the financial statements provided by the examiner, which are relevant for Daistruk as well as its closest competitor, Korea. All right, so that's the third part. However, I'm not going to take you through all 4 videos. Instead, I'm just going to focus on the first part of company operations, or the first part of industry dynamics, so that you are in a position to understand the main information about the company. All right, some more people are joining in. All right, so before we commence the session, let's look at the schedule for the upcoming webinar. So you are attending the second webinar, which is pre-scene analysis. Then the most important webinar out of the 4 is coming up on Saturday, the 15th of April, at the same time, 7 p.m. UK time, where I'll be highlighting answering technique. Along with it, I'll explain time management technique, because what I've encountered is most students do not know to develop answers. Because of that, they run out of time. So in order to find a solution to this issue, you have to attend the third webinar. This is an extremely important webinar. I'll be talking about the technicalities which you need to adhere to when developing answer plans. I'll teach you how to develop answer plans. And on top of that, I will also teach how theoretical content can be brought into your answer, and how you can apply these theories to a real life business issue. And on top of that, I'll also highlight how to bring in information from the pre-scene. All these things will be explained in depth in the upcoming webinar, and all these explanations will be justified based on discussion of the SCS mini mock, which we have developed for you guys. So the mini mock consists of 2 tasks, and focusing on one of the tasks, I will highlight what you need to do when it comes to developing answer plans. So that's an important webinar which is happening on next Saturday, the 15th of April. And on the 29th of April, I'll be taking you through the fourth and final webinar, which fourth and final free webinar rather, which talks about what you need to do when preparing for your exam. So in the first part of the fourth webinar, I will highlight about examiner's comments by understanding the requirements, as well as after going through the comments of the examiner, you are in a position to understand what the examiner requests from you. And when you have a good understanding about what the examiner's expectations are, you are in a position to gain good marks if you adhere to these expectations. So I'll be highlighting all these things in depth. And on top of that, I'll talk about what you need to do to develop confidence both before the exam as well as whilst attempting your real exam. Because as per the CIMA examiner, confident students end up passing the exam comfortably. So I want you guys to adhere to our study plan, adhere to our guidelines. And if you do, then you can improve your confidence significantly. And on top of that, you can conduct your preparations in a stress-free environment. Okay, so I hope you would have attended the first webinar where I provided a 6-week study plan. You can simply go to our website and check out the study plan because it's there for you to access. And if you missed out on this webinar, please do watch the recorded version of it under the free content, which can be again found within the website. All right. And please be mindful that this session is also recorded and the recorded version will be uploaded under free content. Okay, so let's look at what you need to do when it comes to applying Preseen information. What is the right approach? You need to, first things first, you need to know your key information. Example, Daistruk is a 3PL, which provides intramodal, not intramodal, I've done a blunder here, intermodal transportation services. Okay, so you need to know what a 3PL is, you need to know what intermodal transportation is, and you need to understand the internal dynamics of the company, as well as you need to understand the industry dynamics, because as a senior finance manager who is reporting to board members, you need to have something called an outside-in view. Whenever you are taking a decision, you have to first think about the external environment, how your decision is going to affect the external environment, then think about how it's going to affect your company. That's how individuals at the strategic level are supposed to arrive at decisions. So you need to know your key information. So in order to understand the most important information, you just need to go through the annotated Preseen, which we'll be providing under paid content. And on top of that, as I told you earlier, we have developed 4 Preseen analysis videos. And once you go through these 4 videos, you would have enough and more knowledge about what happens within the company, what happens within the industry, as well as the financial performance of Daistruk and its closest competitor Carry. All right, so and on top of that, we will be providing 3 TikTok videos where we'll be summarizing the entire Preseen within 9 minutes. Okay, so on a daily basis, we urge you guys to go through these TikTok videos because these are, simple, just 3-minute videos. So just keep on watching these videos on a daily basis. Then it will be easier for you to understand the main points or the key information pertaining to the industry and Daistruk. And on top of that, you have to be really conversant about ratio analysis. You have to remember the key ratios because as a senior finance manager, whenever you are taking a decision, you need to look at the financial situation of the company, how your decision is going to impact the financial situation. So for instance, you need to have a good understanding about the return on capital employed, the profitability ratios, where you stand with regards to activity or efficiency ratios, the gearing ratio mainly, because as a senior finance manager, you'd be involved with long-term decision making. So you'd consider long-term financing options. So in such a context, you need to have a good understanding about whether the company should opt for debt or equity when trying to finance some long-term project. Okay, so when you're talking about debt and equity, you need to have an understanding about the existing gearing ratio of the company, as well as based on the provided information, you should be able to calculate the fresh gearing ratio. And based on the number you arrive at, you have to provide your evaluation. So likewise, you need to know your numbers. Again, we've made your life easier. We are providing a set of slides. Let me take you through the type of financial analysis slides you would get your hands upon. So the SOPL, the statement of financial position, as well as the statement of changes in equity. All three financial statements are evaluated in depth, yet all information is provided in a concise and understandable manner, right? So you need not conduct your own financial analysis. Instead, simply go through the set of slides, then you'd know where the company stands. Okay, and we have also conducted a ratio analysis. So based on the ratio analysis, again, evaluations had been carried out. I've explained where we stand when we look at the OP margin, when we look at the net profit margin, return on capital employed. Likewise, for each and every area, I've provided in-depth evaluations which are easily understandable and concise, and the same have been done for the competitor, because as part of the Preseen, the examiner provides you information about the competitor's financial statement. So again, these things are evaluated. Note that these set of slides are not relevant to this time's Preseen. Instead, I'm showing you sample material because you can access these financial analysis slides only under paid content under the value and premium packages. So that's what you need to do. If you go through the slides and watch the fourth video, then you'd know your numbers, and you have to prepare for possible scenarios, but be open-minded. So we have developed a set of 5 mock exams covering the entire syllabus, especially E3, especially giving a high level of prominence for E3, because E3 is heavily tested within this exam. However, when designing all 5 mock exams, we have taken care to cover all syllabus areas pertaining to E3, P3, and F3. And on top of that, based on the hints provided by the examiner via the Preseen document, we have developed scenarios. So it's better to get yourself accustomed to possible scenarios which can be tested in the exam, along with getting accustomed with questions which covers the entire syllabus. But you need to be open-minded. The mock exams are there for you to polish up your knowledge with regards to theoretical content, polish up your answer planning technique, get accustomed to exam conditions way before the exam. So that's why all these questions are there. However, when you walk into your exam, you have to be open-minded. There's absolutely no point of trying to remember the scenarios which you saw within the mock exams, because you don't get marks for providing an answer for a certain scenario. Instead, you need to know how to apply theory to a certain scenario, and how to apply this how to apply theory in a practical sense, so that you are providing a real solution to the board members of the company. Okay, so you need to be open-minded, and remember that the scenario which is presented in the exam carries latest information. So via the Preseen document, the examiner gives you information about what has happened in the past within the organization as well as within the industry. However, at your real exam, you would be presented with a business situation which Daistruk faces at present. So it carries all the latest information. So that's exactly why there's absolutely no point of trying to predict scenarios or the type of scenarios which could arise at your examination. Instead, focus on attempting the mock exams with the intention of practicing your skills, or improving your skills and overcoming your inefficiencies, or overcoming unnecessary fears and stressful situations. Uh, Instead, you are supposed to use mocks just to get accustomed to exam conditions. Okay. And when it comes to bringing in information from the pre-scene, how are you supposed to do it? Okay, you are supposed to refer or cite in such a way that it adds value to your answer. So when referring to pre-scene information, I've seen most students, what they do is they bring in information in a general sense without thinking whether the information which you are applying is actually relevant to the company or not. Just because you are supposed to bring in information from the pre-scene, you are not supposed to bring information which does not add value to your answer. So I said that I'll be explaining answer planning technique in my next webinar. So in that, you would realize how to do this in a practical sense. Because when you are developing the answer structure or the answer plan, after you have developed the answer plan, you need to think about, okay, how can I bring in some information to my answer plan with the intention of adding value to my answer, rather than bringing in general information which is totally irrelevant to the question or the scenario presented at the exam. So, and do not force it in to show the marker that we have studied the pre-scene. That's exactly why I said you should not bring in general information. It's not going to get you any marks. So you are supposed to attend the third webinar, which is happening on Saturday, and refer to suggested answers of mock exams. Actually speaking, in order to make your life easier, we at TCS, we have developed answer plans for all 5 mocks. So you would have answer summaries pertaining to the suggested answers of all 5 mocks. So you need not develop answer summaries on your own. You need not develop your short notes based on the suggested answers of all 5 mocks. We have done it for you. So once you refer to these answer plans, you'd understand how pre-scene information had been brought into the answer with the only intention of improving the quality, which increases quality of the answer, thereby increasing your chances of passing the exam. Okay, so after attending the third webinar and referring to our answer plans, 5 answer plans in total, then you are in a position to understand how to cite pre-scene information. All right, then you need to have a study plan for E3, F3, and P3, especially if you are coming through an exemption route such as FLP. What I've seen is most students who are coming through an exemption route struggle at the real exam because they lack an appropriate level of knowledge pertaining to theoretical concepts. Okay, that should be said. Although you are coming through an exemption route, most students gain something like at the exam, something like less than 50 marks, mainly because of they lack an understanding about theoretical concepts. So you have to be prepared for application of theories and concepts. If you do not know your theory, there's absolutely no chance of passing this exam. But you have nothing to fear, because we are offering master classes covering the answers of all 5 mocks. So we will be explaining the answers of all 5 mocks which we have prepared, and the answers of all 5 mocks will be explained in depth via the master classes. And when these explanations are done, I will be teaching you theory, as well as I'll highlight how theory is applied in a practical sense, in which is totally aligned with the requirement presented at your exam. Okay, so I'll be teaching you theory as well as application via the master classes which we are conducting. Out of the master classes, the first 2, which are based on mocks 1 and 2, explaining the answers of mocks 1 and 2, they are done live. But the remaining master classes pertaining to mocks 3, 4, and 5 will be pre-recorded versions. And if you have any questions, you can always reach our tutors, and we are always ready to help you guys out. So prepare for application of theories and concepts, and prepare for interpretation of figures and numbers. Other than something like a gearing ratio, it's highly unlikely that you'd get any calculations. So you'd have to do any calculations at your exam. Why? Because you are playing the role of a SFM or a senior finance manager, and senior finance managers are barely involved with calculations. Okay. Instead, as part of the question as reference material, the examiner will provide you facts and figures, and you are supposed to interpret these figures and numbers rather than carry out calculations. And when going through the syllabus content, do not skip any topic, because I've seen even tutors out there saying that we can skip certain areas of the syllabus. That is not true, because you can never predict the type of questions which will be thrown at you. So it's of utmost importance that you cover theoretical content pertaining to all three subjects, E3, F3, and P3. So how are you supposed to achieve it? By attending the master classes, then you'd learn theory as well as application. And when attempting the mock exams, you'd see different types of questions covering different theoretical areas or syllabus content. And you are not supposed to rely on predictions, as any area can be examined. So we at TCS, we are not predicting anything. Why? Because the examiner has simply said time and time again that you cannot predict about the type of scenarios which can be presented in the exam. You can only have a general sense about the type of theoretical content which can be tested. Other than that, you cannot predict scenarios which will be presented at the exam. So please bear that in mind. All right, so before we move on to the second part of tonight's session, let me talk about what we offer. So we offer 3 packages: Essentials, Value, and Premium. And if you purchase the Essentials package, you'd get your hands on the 4 webinars, because within these 4 webinars, we are highlighting the technicalities which you need to possess to pass the exam comfortably. And you'd get your hands on the 5 mock exams with suggested answers. And you'd get your hands on the 4 Preseen analysis videos, which covers the entire Preseen analysis. And the package is priced at £99. And the essential pack is suitable for students who are coming through the CIMA general route, and students who had aced their OTQ exams. So if you're coming through the general route, and if you have gotten really good marks for E3, P3, and F3 examinations, then and on top of that, if you're extremely comfortable with self-learning, then this is all you need to do. This is all the type of material you need to pass your exam comfortably. Let's look at the value pack. So under the value pack, you'd get your hands on the 4 webinars, the recorded versions of the 4 webinars, the 5 mocks with suggested answers, 4 Preseen analysis videos. And on top of that, you'd get your hands on the annotated Preseen. You'd see what this annotated Preseen is later on, because based on that only, I will be conducting tonight's Preseen analysis. Then you'd get your hands on the industry analysis cards. Again, you'd see what our cards look like if you check out our sample material, or else I'll be conducting an industry analysis, not in its entirety, but part of it. Then you'd see what type of content we are providing pertaining to industry analysis cards. Then we are providing a set of financial analysis cards as well. You saw them a while back, okay? And you'd get your hands on the top 10 likely issues slides, the case study familiarization kit, as well as you'd gain access to a tutor-managed live chat via Twilio. It should be noted that we are experiencing certain technical difficulties pertaining to Twilio these days, but we are trying to get it sorted by Wednesday or Thursday, the latest. So via this chat, whenever you are conducting preparations, if you feel that you need to improve your knowledge in a certain area, if you feel that you cannot understand a certain concept or a framework, what you need to do is simply drop us a message via the chat, which is integrated to our website, and our tutors are always there to help you guys out, erase out your problems. Then you'd also gain access to the theory recaps of OTQ syllabus content, especially pertaining to E3, P3, and F3 related study content. And if you coming through an exemption route, and if you feel that you need to brush up your knowledge in OTQ theoretical content, then these theory recap slides will help you really well. And looking at, and the price is £199, and the value package is relevant for students who are generally coming through the CIMA general route. If you're coming through the exemption route, you need to actually attend the master classes to learn theory. But if you're coming through the CIMA general route, but you struggled with your OTQ examinations, and if you feel that you need some type of one-on-one tutor support, then go for the value pack, which is priced at £199. And let's look at the premium package. Under the premium package, everything which I spoke about under the value pack is included. On top of that, you'd get your access to the mock exam platform, or the learning management system which we have created. And this mock exam platform had been created to be akin to the Pearson VUE system on which you'd attempt your real exam. Okay, so if you are to really get accustomed to exam conditions, you need to attempt all 5 mock exams within the exam platform itself. So I've seen students, when they are attempting mocks, what they would do is they'd attempt task 1 today, task 2 tomorrow, and task 3 day after tomorrow. So you break down the entire mock into 3 separate parts, and you attempt them on 3 separate days. But at the exam, you have to sit in one place and attempt the entire exam or entire paper within 3 hours. So when you are practicing mocks, you need to replicate an exam scenario so that you are in a position to learn from the process, understand how to manage pressure for 3 hours, understand how to manage your time properly, understand how to develop answer plans. For instance, let's assume that task number 1 was extremely hard. You need to understand how to bounce back from all this negativity and ensure that you attempt tasks 2 and 3 properly. Even if you are not, even if you have not done a good job in task number 1, you still need to keep moving forward and do your best when attempting tasks 2 and 3. So you need to get accustomed to all these things by attempting or allocating 3 hours of your time and attempting each mock at a stretch, rather than attempting the mock over multiple days. So if you utilize our exam platform, that's exactly what you would do. You can't stop the exam halfway through. You'd have to finish off the entire paper, or else you won't gain any mock practice via the exam platform. So you'd gain access to the LMS, and we are offering professional marking and one-to-one tutor feedback on 3 mocks. So let me show you the type of feedback which we provide. As you can see, we have provided in-depth evaluations on a paragraph by paragraph basis, with the intention of making sure that students understand their shortcomings to the fullest and take steps to get rid of these shortcomings, thereby being in a position to pass the exam comfortably. And throughout the answer script, in-depth evaluations have been provided. And the very end, we provide at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis, and we provide information pertaining to a success rate as well. So if you score more than 54%, that's as if you are scoring 80 marks out of 150, because that converts to 54%. 80 divided by 150, you need to get 80 marks to pass. So 80 marks divided by 150 gives you 54%. So if you gain more than 54%, then you are somewhat conversant with the area which is tested within each and every subtask. As you can see from these students' success rate, only task 3A is up to par. All the other tasks are the marks which the student had gained is not too good. So that's exactly why the student had gotten just 28 marks. And we have provided feedback pertaining to how this type of a student can improve the chances of passing, because getting 28 marks at your mock exams is way better than actually scoring 28 marks at your real exam. So you need to practice mocks. And once you had practiced all 5 of our mocks, you would see that your answer planning technique improves, your time management technique improves, and with that, the quality of your answer will improve significantly. So this is the type of feedback you'd get your hands on if you invest on the premium package, and we'll be providing answer plans of all 5 mocks. So you need not develop summaries or your own short notes based on the suggested answers. We had done it for you closer to the exam, rather than scrambling for answers or going through or reading pages and pages of suggested answers and trying to understand the structure. You can easily refer to the answer plans, and when you do it, it's as if you are going through theory, or you are revising theory as well as you are revising application skills, which will ensure a sure pass at your exam. And we are, as I told you earlier, we are conducting 12 master classes explaining the answers of all 5 mocks. Out of these master classes, the first 2 are done live on a weekly basis, and you'd be able to attend 7 tutor-led weekly webinars and workshops. This package comes with a monthly installment option and a pass guarantee. So what does this pass guarantee tell you? If you end up failing the exam after purchasing the premium package, which is highly unlikely, yet if you still end up failing the exam, you'd get your hands on onto the study content in the subsequent session free of charge. Okay, so that's the pass guarantee which we are providing. So the package is actually priced at £550, but we are offering a 50% discount on the first installment. So the first installment is £99, but it's at £49 with the discount, and the remaining £450 needs to be paid in 2 installments of £225 each. So you have the option of going for installments, and all products are available until the 31st of August 2023. So if you're planning to do your exam in August, you can still purchase right now and make use of the early bird discount which we're offering on the first installment. And on top of that, you can start preparations now itself. All right, so that's what we offer. Let's move on to the industry analysis. So let me answer some questions which came our way. Let me pause the recording. Okay, since there aren't any more questions, I'm going to move on to the industry analysis. As I told you earlier, I'm not going to take you through the entire set of slides. Instead, I'm just going to focus on the most important areas. So our industry analysis slides consists of information covering 4 main areas. First things first, we have covered an overview of the industry. Then we have covered the competitive landscape. And in the third area, we'll be talking about industry trends, about what's happening within the industry at the moment, as well as what's going to happen, the type of changes the industry is going to face in the future, because these type of scenarios can be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have provided 2 real world examples of real world companies, with the intention of making sure that you better understand, or you gain a better grasp of what type of industry these times Preseen is based on. Okay, so purpose of the industry analysis is you have to be familiar with the industry, but need not be an industry expert. Okay, that's not the intention of the examiner. Yet you need to have an appropriate level of knowledge or familiarity with regards to industry dynamics. And if you go through the Preseen analysis, the first Preseen analysis video and the industry analysis slides, which I'm showing right now, you can easily grasp this amount of information which is needed for you to pass the exam. And you need to develop a broad understanding of the industry in which the company operates, which will help you construct sound arguments and prepare for possible developments or possible scenarios in the exam. All right, so first things first, let's look at the definition of the market. the Preseen is based on the logistics industry. So what are these guys up to? Or companies within the logistics industry, they are involved with planning, implementing, coordinating, and management of efficient and effective movement and storage of goods, services, and related information from the point of origin to the point of consumption. So these guys are involved with a lot of things. They are into planning, implementing these plans, coordinating between different types of stakeholders, because a logistics service provider or distributor needs to work with a multitude of stakeholders. So there's a lot of coordination involved. And when it comes to this coordination, you saw a lot of IT and IS is used. You'd see this within the Preseen as well. And on top of that, a lot of technology usage can be seen these days. In the future, artificial intelligence and machine learning will play a major role when it comes to achieving utmost levels of efficiency with regards to coordination. And you have to manage a lot of resources. You have to manage your stakeholders as well as different types of resources you utilize, as well as the type of resources your clients are utilizing. All these things needs to be managed in the most efficient and effective manner, so that movement and storage of goods. So these guys are involved with movement of goods as well as warehousing or storage of goods. And they are also involved with an information provision role. So they are supposed to provide information to various different stakeholders. And on top of that, these guys, logistics services providers, they gather a lot of information to track about their business's efficiency from the point of origin to the point of consumption. So this is a huge industry which consists of a multitude of stakeholders and various different activities. So what type of activities occur within this industry? Transportation, which occurs via road, rail, air, as well as sea. And there's warehousing involved within this industry. There's inventory management, order fulfillment, packaging, and freight forwarding. Again, a multitude of activities happen within this industry. So they're handling transportation, they're handling warehousing. Within the warehouses, you need to manage your inventories properly, and you have to make sure that orders are fulfilled on time, because as a distributor, you have to always satisfy your customer. Okay. And these guys carry out packaging as well. If the customer asks you to package the raw material which you are transporting, then you have to do it as a logistics services provider. And they are involved with freight forwarding when it comes to imports and exports as well. And when you look at the entire industry, the key players are the 3PL providers. So let's try to figure out who these 3PLs are. 3PL stands for third-party logistics, or these are third-party logistics services providers, which could be courier companies as well as freight forwarders. So who are third-party logistics providers, or 3PLs? So let's assume you are running Tesco. Okay, so you are running a supermarket. You have to ensure that you stock up properly. You have to ensure that you do not run out of stocks. And on top of that, when selling food stuff such as vegetable, you have to ensure that you sell fresh food stuff at all times. Okay, so when you're running something like Tesco, the distribution is outsourced to a 3PL so that you ensure that all the goods arrive on time, you do not run out of stocks, and the food produce are fresh at all times. So, distribution, warehouse management, and when it comes to stacking up your racks, everything is handled by these 3PL providers. Okay. So when you outsource logistics to a third party, you call them 3PLs. Okay. And the goals of 3PL is to optimize the flow of goods and information, minimize costs, and maximize customer satisfaction. So you have to ensure that your supply chain management processes work in the most efficient manner. We are not only involved with the business of distribution, we are involved with information gathering and information sharing. That's another main goal which can be seen within the logistics industry. And the logistics industry is always concerned about minimizing costs, because if you look at the industry dynamics, the margins are extremely low because you are involved with a plethora of activities. You are dealing with a lot of stakeholders, so you need to share a lot of your revenue with them. And on top of that, there are a lot of costs involved because the activities are extremely high. So the margins are usually low. So in such a context, in order to be profitable, you have to keep on decreasing your costs, at the same time maintaining quality as much as possible. So this is an extremely hard thing to achieve. But with the adoption of IT as well as technology and with proper contingency planning, you can achieve cost efficiencies. So thereby minimize costs, and all these things will lead to increasing customer satisfaction. Okay, so that's the industry in a nutshell. So let me pause the screen sharing because I'm going to move on to slide number 9. Okay. All right, so let's look at the industry trends now. So there's a lot of digitalization because most 3PL providers are adopting Internet of Things and big data. Why Internet of Things? Because you are dealing with a lot of stakeholders, and with that, you'll be dealing with a lot of devices. So in such a context, it's essential that you invest on IoT, and you are gathering a lot of data. You have to keep track of all your operations, where you are shipping something to. You need to know that information, as well as your customers need to have the same type of information. If you're using somebody else to, someone like, a small truck driver, if he or she is involved with handling domestic transportation, again, you have to share information with this individual. So there's a lot of data sharing going. And on top of that, you need to track the efficiency of the entire logistics service process. So big data usage can be seen heavily within today's logistics industry. And digitalization enables great efficiency and visibility in supply chain management operations, because visibility is key, because customers need to know where their goods or raw material or whatever is, and customers need to know when they are receiving the packages. So visibility is extremely important, and we have achieved, as an industry, we have achieved a maximum visibility because of digitalization. And there's something like something which is called green logistics, which can be seen and it's spreading across the world. It was earlier adopted by the Europeans and the Americans only, but it's spreading across to Asia and Africa. Okay, so this is about adopting sustainability, because if you look at the logistics industry, the carbon emissions are through the roof, because you are spending a lot of time on transportation, and most of the time fossil fuels are utilized, so carbon emissions are extremely high. So because of these issues, because of global warming and whatnot, most of the logistics services providers are trying to go sustainable as much as possible. So they are trying to optimize routes using technology, using sat-nav technologies, using telematics technologies. They are trying to optimize the routes so that they conduct transportation services in the most efficient manner and reduce energy consumption. If you use a technology such as telematics technology, you can reduce consumption of energy significantly, because you are keeping track of the performance of the vehicle. By doing that, you can take all necessary steps to reduce fuel usage, and using eco-friendly vehicles such as vehicles which run on electric energy. And there's a lot of integration of services which you can see within this industry nowadays. 3PLs are offering integrated solutions. What are these integrated solutions? So 3PLs provide a plethora of services. As I highlighted earlier, they provide warehousing, they provide transportation services, they help you with documentation, they manage stocks within the warehouses, and if some company wants us to handle supply chain management and if they need supply chain management related services in its entirety, 3PLs can provide all these things. So there's a lot of integrated solutions. You'd understand what these things are, integrated solutions are, later on when I take you through the Preseen. And this leads to efficient, transparent, and cost-effective logistics services and creates value across supply chains and stakeholders. So the logistics services providers are not the only, or the 3PLs are not the only companies who are benefiting from this type of integration of services. Different types of stakeholders across supply chains are benefiting out of these type of arrangements. So these are the industry trends. Then I'm gonna pause the screen share again and yeah, take you to real world examples. So I'm gonna just talk about DHL because DHL's operations are totally akin to what we are involved with at the moment. So this is the largest player by revenue. Their revenues come up to $79 billion, and their mission is connecting people and improving lives. Okay, because as I told you earlier, logistics services providers have to deal with different types of stakeholders, and connecting these stakeholders is of utmost importance. If not, there will be inefficiencies. And if you connect all these stakeholders, you can create value, not just for yourself, but for everybody. That's what improving lives is about. And looking at the key information, the company was established in the latter 1960s. The values are with regards to respect and results. Again, this is aligned with the mission statement. Why should we respect? Because we are dealing with a lot of stakeholders. So if you respect each and every stakeholder, then these stakeholders would love to work with you. And on top of that, you have to be result oriented, output oriented, because if you do not end up satisfying the stakeholders, then you are falling short in some type of an area. So it could be a situation where you're dissatisfying a customer, or you might be dissatisfying one of your partners. You might be dissatisfying one of the transportation services providers. If you're chartering a flight, then you might be dissatisfying this company which is offering charter flights. So you are working with different stakeholders, so you have to be result oriented, or else inefficiencies would lead to bad relationships between stakeholders. And they are keen about having a sustainability outlook as well. They have adopted Go Green strategies. So I spoke about Go Green strategies a bit earlier. So these type of strategies are already there within DHL, and they are trying to achieve a zero emission goal by 2050 as per what was agreed upon at the Paris Climate Agreement. These guys are also trying to adhere to this government regulation. So that's the industry analysis for you. I hope you guys understood what this industry is about. Any questions, guys? Any questions before we move forward? All right, seems like there aren't any questions. So let me remind you about the early bird discount, which we're offering, a 50% discount on your first installment of the premium package. The first installment is £99, but for within the upcoming 2 weeks, you are in a position to get a £50 discount. All right, so let's move on to the Preseen analysis. So as I told you earlier, I'm going to conduct the Preseen analysis based on something called an annotated Preseen. So as you can see, this is the same Preseen which you would have gotten your hands on today, but we have come up with annotations with the intention of summarizing the entire Preseen so that you can easily spot information. And on top of that, our intention is to highlight probable exam scenarios as well as theoretical concepts which can be tested at your real exam via these annotations. And on top of that, I myself developed the annotated Preseen. So I've provided my overall evaluations pertaining to each and every part of the Preseen. Okay, so I'm not going to take you through the industry analysis. You'd have to watch video number 1, where I'm conducting an in-depth industry analysis. So let's look at the internal dynamics of the company. So I said that we are a logistics services provider, and what is our name? Daistruk. Okay. And Daistruk, looking at the history of the company, it was established 65 years ago. So, which is a significant strength of the company, because definitely there's a positive brand recognition when you had operated within an industry for the past 65 years, and you'd have an in-depth understanding about the technical nitty-gritties about with regards to what happens within the industry, and you'd have strong relationships with different types of stakeholders because you have been dealing with them for the past 65 odd years. Then these guys are quoted on the Roundland stock exchange with the 45 years ago. Again, we have been listed within the stock exchange for a long period of time. So probably we are in a position to raise equity easily. You'd understand whether we can raise equity or not after going through the 4th Preseen analysis video, because once you calculate the gearing ratio, you are in a position to understand whether these guys can go for debt finance or they should go for equity. Then there's rapid growth since inception, and the company has pursued related diversification. So you need not know too much about the history of the company. This is all the necessary information which you need to possess. Then looking at the present of the company, it employs 22,000 employees, a significant number of employees given the complex activities this company is involved with. And out of these 22,000, 7,000 are drivers. So almost 1/3 of the labor force consists of drivers. Why? Because as a logistics services provider, we have to deal with a lot of drivers. And we are one of the largest 3PLs in Roundland. Roundland is the country in which we are operating from, and the country in which we are located. That's our mother country. And we are one of the largest 3PLs, or third-party logistics services providers. So we are akin to DHL in a global sense, and we are providing intermodal logistics services. So I'll talk about intermodal logistics services in a while. Okay, so let's look at the different types of services offered. We are offering multiple services to different stakeholders. So we are involved with inventory management. We are offering shared storage as well as handling services. We are offering outsourced warehouse management services. There could be customers who have their own warehouse, but they lack capacity to manage it. We do it for them. And we are offering shared transportation and rail and intermodal transportation, as well as we handle specialized loads. So as you can see, we are specialists in different aspects of the logistics business. So let's look at what we do under inventory management. We provide IT-based inventory management and transportation services. So we are using a lot of IT, because if not, we can't keep track of the complex inventory management systems or processes which we can see in the 21st century. So there are a lot of complexities. You can't keep track of all these complexities. And on top of that, you have to provide a lot of information to your different stakeholders. You can't achieve these things without the use of IT. And we are keeping track of our transportation networks. Again, IT comes into play. And clients provide access to their ERPs, enterprise resource planning systems, which is a risk, because whenever you are connecting to somebody else's system, it exposes you to data security and data privacy threats. Okay, so we have to be really conversant with regards to ensuring that data security is upheld, or else if there is some type of a virus within one of the ERPs of our customers, then that could affect us as well. So I've considered it as a risk. And later on within this document itself, the examiner had provided you an excerpt taken from the risk report. And in that area, I've discussed about how to manage this type of risk. And I've discussed whether the risk mitigatory strategies adopted by the company is appropriate or not. And Daistruk uses WMS, or warehouse management systems, to track inventory and its movement. Okay, that's pretty basic. Any type of a 3PL uses a WMS, and these guys are into it as well. And when it comes to inventory management, we manage elements of clients' supply chain management activities. Okay, so for instance, we are involved with replenishing orders at clients' shops. So the clients would only order. When it comes to order replenishments, we handle it by our own 100%. So let's stick to the same example which I utilized earlier. Let's assume we are providing services to Tesco. Tesco would only place the order. Everything else which is involved with warehousing, transportation, stacking up the store, all these things, replenishment related areas, all these things are handled by us as a specialist in this area. Then we are involved with providing shared storage and handling related services. We have our own 35 warehouses across Roundland. You can see how significantly big we are as a company. And we are charging our customers based on storage space and length of occupancy. That's pretty basic. And we are charging additionally for inventory management. I told you if a certain customer lacks the capability to manage their inventory or handle their inventory, they use services of 3PLs, and we are offering just that. And our warehouses have temperature controlled areas for food items as well as humidity controlled areas. And where some of our warehouses have secure areas for high value items. Okay. And looking at the type of outsourced warehouse management services which we are offering, we are operating at 90 clients' warehouses. So these warehouses, please bear in mind, these warehouses are not owned by us. These are owned by somebody else, but we are offering warehouse management services within these warehouses which are owned by our customers. And we provide labor and inventory handling services within these clients' warehouses. And we are also involved with providing shared transport. We own 4,500 articulated trucks, which are utilized especially within the construction industry. We own 6,500 trailers, 800 tankers, such as oil tankers, gas tankers, and whatnot. And we are also in possession of 1,000 rigid trucks and vans, which handle smaller deliveries or deliveries in the localities. And when providing these shared transport services, we are trying to achieve sustainability. So shared transport is means which is also known as intermodal transportation. So what is intermodal transportation? That's a situation where we utilize different vehicles when handling one single transport or service. Okay, so let's assume we are exporting something from another country. So when we are exporting, we are using air freight. And once it is brought into our airport, that needs to be distributed to a certain warehouse. So we might be using a container for that. Okay. And on top of that, after it is taken to the warehouse, the goods which are within the container will be shipped to or delivered to different customers. So in such a context, we might be utilizing rigid trucks or vans. So we are using different transportation systems or transportation modes when providing intermodal transportation. So there's a lot of sharing of resources. How are resources shared? Because when carrying out transportation, we are not fulfilling the requirements of just one single customer. Instead, we are utilizing the same vehicle to transport different goods, which needs to be delivered to different customers. So that's what shared transport means. So rather than allocating one single vehicle for a single client, what we do is we use shared transport where a single vehicle can be used to handle distributions which are done for multiple customers or stakeholders. So that's what shared transport is about, and it's sustainable. Why? Because we are handling multiple logistic services of multiple clients within one single vehicle. So the carbon emissions are carbon emissions per logistic service provided is significantly lesser than having a dedicated vehicle for a transport to carry out transportation services. And we are using rail and intermodal transportation. Rail is the most sustainable out of the lot, out of the transportation modes. You would understand it once you go through our first video, which is dedicated towards an industry analysis, first Preseen analysis video. So we own 10 locomotives, okay? And we own 2 inland ports in Roundland. So these inland ports are there to increase the efficiency of distribution of goods, because we are operating from seaports as well. However, you need inland ports to get into the country. Okay, so there is a port, there is a seaport, yes, but in order to connect these different seaports, you need a rail network. So connecting each rail network, there will be inland ports, and we own 2 inland ports in Roundland, and we are handling sea freight from seaports, but we do not own any ships, and we are working closely with shipping companies. Why? If not, we cannot conduct our logistics services in the most efficient manner. There's a lot of data sharing which is needed. We have to gain or access data from shipping companies, and this data needs to be shared with our customers, because we need to ensure that transportation or logistics services happen in the most transparent manner. And we organize cargo for clients. Because we do not own our own ships, it does not mean that we cannot provide additional services to customers. We organize cargo of our clients, and we manage documentation and administration related issues linked to customs regulation, because we are specialists in this area. And similar services are offered for air cargo as well. So that's rail and intermodal transportation services which we're offering. And we also deal with specialized loads. So this is about transportation of oversized loads, and this requires special equipment and licensed drivers. Okay. Then moving on, let's look at the clientele which we are servicing. So the majority of our clients are involved with the transportation or logistics services pertaining to food items, which is 44% of our clients. And we are handling general merchandise as well, which comes up to 33%. And we are also dealing with public sector and industrial customers, or fulfilling the industrial needs of our customers. So that comes up to 23% of our clientele. So as you can see, we are dealing with a multitude of stakeholders, ranging from the private sector to the public sector. And some customers fall into multiple categories. So if you look at a supermarket such as Tesco, they are involved with selling food items as well as general merchandise. Okay, so a player like Tesco or a company like Tesco falls into multiple categories. And there's a lot of technology being used. I said that when I was conducting the industry analysis, I said that already there's a lot of IT and technology being used. Let's look at the type of IT and technology which is used within Daistruk. So IT is used to track clients' inventory on a real-time basis. So IT systems are used to track inventory on real-time basis on a step-by-step manner. And clients can instruct Daistruk electronically, and Daistruk can acknowledge, assign trucks, trailers, and drivers. So the entire process runs on our IT systems. Okay, and we are using our IT systems to track services offered and manage pricing, because based on the type of services the client is using, the pricing will keep on changing. Okay, if the client wants to keep his or her stocks within our warehouse for an additional day, then we have to charge an additional fee. So there's flexible pricing being used. If we are to use flexible pricing, you need to use a lot of IT. That's exactly what we are doing at the moment. And we are using IT to monitor and estimate arrival times, because it's of utmost importance that you keep customers informed about arrival times. So we are using IT to predict delays due to traffic or weather. And if there's a certain revision of the route, we will keep our drivers informed about this revision via sat-nav technology. Okay. And if there's some type of a diversion from the plan, then we have to warn clients as well. And this is carried out via our IT systems or using our IT systems. And we are using a lot of electronic trackers within trucks, which are used to update location and status of each and every delivery vehicle. And we are using trackers to support transport staff to manage loads and select efficient routes. So there are a lot of complexities involved within this industry. So because of that, we are heavily using IT as well as technology. And in order to connect different stakeholders, as well as connect different technological improvements which we are using within the industry, we are using IT heavily. So please be prepared to see questions pertaining to data security issues faced by the company, the threat of hacking and whatnot, the type of action which we are supposed to take, type of internal controls which we are supposed to impose. All these areas can be tested at your exam. And information is provided about our closest rival as well, which is Carry. This is providing services akin to us, provides intermodal services just like us, and provides similar services relative to Daistruk. And there's intense rivalry within the market. Why? Because as I told you earlier, there's a lot of activities happening. You have to connect with a lot of stakeholders. So this is a costly affair. So your margins are extremely low. So there's intense competition in any industry where the margins are low. There will be intense competition or cutthroat competition. And rivalry depends on the health of the economy. Why? Because if the economy is not functioning properly, if the economy has contracted, then logistics services will come to a grinding halt. As you saw during COVID-19, logistics services came to a grinding halt because nothing was moving around. People were not purchasing goods as they used to. So in such a context, the industry was negatively affected. So the strength or the health of the industry depends on the health of the economy. If the economy is running, then the competitors would have some type of comfort when conducting their business operations. However, if the economy is contracting, your margins will go dry because of the increase in costs. In such a context, there will be cutthroat competition, price-based competition within this industry. And based on all this information, I've provided an overall analysis. Daistruk has significant strengths which drive competitive advantage. So if you look at Porter's generic strategy, which falls under the E3 syllabus, these guys are into differentiation. They are trying to offer quality as much as possible in order to stand out of competitors, and has been exploiting opportunities since inception from day one. Up until now, these guys had been pursuing related diversification with the intention of expanding, which shows that these guys are exploiting opportunities. And they are using a lot of technology to track the operational aspects of the business with the intention of achieving cost efficiencies. And on top of that, at the same time, ensuring that you keep your stakeholders satisfied and informed at all times. Okay, so there's heavy usage of IT and technology. So you might be thinking that according to the Porter's generic strategy, these guys need to fall under the cost leadership quadrant. That is not the case, because these guys are not only concerned about reducing costs, their prime concern is improving quality. That's exactly why they are investing a lot on adopting technology as well as IT. So that's why I'm saying that these guys fall under the differentiation strategy. Okay, then predicting the type of areas which can be tested. Porter's generic strategy, or your knowledge pertaining to Porter's generic strategy, will be tested. Porter's diamond can be tested because there are a lot of related and supporting industry which affects the functionality of any company which operates within this industry. And since you are dealing with a lot of stakeholders, there definitely will be a question pertaining to, managing stakeholders, how to manage them. So when you are managing these stakeholders, you need to look at their level of power and interest as per the Ansoff matrix. So you need to know how to, you need to have an understanding about how the Ansoff matrix should be applied to a real life business problem. All these things are covered within our master classes. And change management, your knowledge pertaining to change management will definitely be tested, because this is an industry which is always changing, which is always moving forward because of technological advancements. Then risk management will definitely be tested, because as part of this pre-scene, as I told you earlier, an excerpt taken from the risk report of the company is provided within this document itself. So risk management strategies will be tested. And data security and privacy, as I told you earlier, you are using a lot of IT systems, you are connecting to different types of stakeholders. So in such a context, it exposes you to data security and data privacy related issues, which falls under E3 and P3 syllabuses. And be ready to recommend risk mitigation strategies based on a scenario presented in the exam. And be prepared to evaluate long-term funding options as to whether we should go for debt or equity when faced with a financing option. So all these things are covered within our 5 mock exams. So if you attempt the 5 mock exams under exam conditions, you are in a position to understand how these concepts are tested and what type of answers you are supposed to provide. Okay. I'm not going to take you through the vision, values, and whatnot, because it's pretty basic. Instead, since we are running out of time, I want to focus your attention towards the composition of the board, as well as the type of activities carried out by the board members. So looking at the board members, you need not remember what these guys are up to, or the type of qualifications they have, the type of experience they have. In an overall sense, once I went through all the information, what I could understand is all these board members are skilled, educated, and experienced in their relevant field. And all these guys have appropriate industry knowledge. Some have been working for different types of companies which are connected with the logistics industry or the 3PL industry. Okay, so these guys have appropriate industry knowledge, and they have, everybody has appropriate experience within Daistruk. They have been working for Daistruk and playing a strategic role for a certain period of time. And looking at the independent non-executive directors, there's a good mix of independent non-executive directors, and this is good for corporate governance within an organization. If you are clueless about who independent non-executive directors are, then definitely you need to attend the master classes, because you need to understand corporate governance regulations outright, because there's definitely going to be a question on corporate governance. So good mix of independent non-executive directors, and some board members have held ministerial and government posts, which is good for CPA or corporate political activity. We can easily lobby the government, or we can go for bridging activities where we change the operations of the company to fall in line with government regulation. So given our board members' experience pertaining to politics and holding government posts, it's actually good for corporate political activity of the company. And we can easily align with government's net zero goals, because we can openly communicate with the government and understand their exact requirement and take steps to fall in line with government's net zero goals. You'd understand about these net zero goals in the first Preseen analysis video, where I'll be at the very end of the video, I've taken you through the newspaper articles which are provided, and under that these net zero goals of the government are explained in depth. And some of the directors are involved with the education sector, especially the independent non-executive directors, because they are tutoring at local universities, and this is good for recruitments, because there's a lot of high labor turnover within this industry, especially when it comes to specialists or knowledge workers carrying out specialist roles. So in such a context, we can access, young and capable employees on a continuous basis, utilizing the connections our independent non-executive directors have with local universities. Then looking at the board composition, let me take you to this area. Yeah. So under the CEO, you get 4 different directors, the chief operating officer who handles transportation, negotiations with clients and warehouse operations. Then there's a CFO who looks into financial reporting, management, accounting, and treasury functions. There's a CIO, because we heavily use IT. So in such a company, you need to have a chief information officer. So this guy looks into IT operations, IT security, as well as software maintenance and development. And there's a HR director, because we are dealing with 22,000 employees, out of which 7,000 are drivers. So there are technical workers within our company as well as knowledge workers, and the way in which you treat these employees are totally different to each other. The way in which you motivate these type of employees are totally different. So in such a context, we have to have a sound HR function. That's exactly why we have a separate HR director who looks into recruitment and selection, staff retention, as well as ensuring health and safety. Health and safety is a prime concern within this industry because a lot of accidents could occur. So in such a context, we have to be conversant with health and safety. And health and safety is highlighted within our risk report as well. So if you watch the the third Preseen analysis video, you would understand whether the risk mitigatory strategies adopted by Daistruk is up to standard or not. All right. So that's the board composition. Wide range of duties under the COO. Better to appoint a dedicated marketing director since leadership is lacking in this area. Not a real issue, but it's better to have a separate marketing director because in such a context, we can drive sales because the sales had only increased by 10% across the years 2021 and 2022. If you go through the fourth Preseen analysis video and the financial analysis slides, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So when revenues had only increased by 10%, when our operating expenses had increased by 9%, then the margins will be extremely low. So in such a context, it will be better to have a separate marketing director and ensure that we push for sales as much as possible, and board responsibilities are properly allocated based on the information which I provided a while back. Then let's look at the board committees. If you look at the board committees, there are 4 committees in total as per corporate governance guidelines. So you have the audit committee, which conducts or sets the audit environment, which sets internal controls within the company, which conducts internal audit activities to check whether people are sticking to the internal controls which we have imposed. So performance evaluation, all these things occur via the audit committee. Then there's a risk committee, which is there to manage the business as well as different types of risks faced by the business. As I told you earlier, this business is dealing with a lot of stakeholders. It's exposed to clients as well as stakeholders who are based in different countries. So and there are operational complexities as well, which exposes this type of a company to a multitude of risks. So you need to have a separate committee within the board with the intention of identifying and managing each and every risk. That's exactly why, according to corporate governance guidelines best practice, it's better to provide a risk report as part of your financial statements or your annual report. Why? So that you keep the stakeholders informed about the quality of the risk identifying and risk management processes within the company. Okay, so we have our own risk committee, and there's a remuneration committee which is there to make sure that the directors are paid or remunerated appropriately. And on top of that, these remunerations happen in an arm's length basis, because if there was no remuneration committee, and if the directors were to decide on their salaries on their own, they can go for fat cat salaries. So in order to avoid such a scenario, corporate governance regulations have suggested that there needs to be a remuneration committee within each and every board. We have one, and there's a nomination committee when it comes to handling board appointments. If we let our directors handle board appointments, then there could be instances where they appoint their relatives, their friends, with the intention of mismanaging the funds of the company. So in order to avoid such a situation, a nomination committee is situated with the intention of ensuring or with the intention of making sure that board nominations happen in the most efficient manner. All right, so these are the committees which we have. So let's look at the composition of these committees. The non-executive chair should not be in the audit committee. So any type of a chairperson should not be in the audit committee. Instead, a majority of the people within the audit committee should be non-executive directors. So when talking about a majority, we are not talking about a simple majority. At least 2/3 of the directors or 2/3 of the members within the audit committee needs to be independent non-executive directors. You can't see that within our company. The chairman sits within the audit committee. So the chairman is in a position to influence the internal controls of the company. The chairman is in a position to influence the activities of the internal audit department, which is not too good for the business. Okay, so that exposes us to governance risk, a P3 related area. Whenever you are providing an answer pertaining to corporate governance, remember to highlight this point, that the non-executive chair should not be in the audit committee. Remember to highlight this point. This is exactly how you are supposed to bring in information from the Preseen or refer information from the Preseen. So if it's a question pertaining to corporate governance, if you talk about this, then you'd get marks for Preseen application. And independent non-executive directors dominate the risk and remuneration committees, which is in line with corporate governance best practices. However, I'm highlighting that it is better if independent non-executive directors dominate audit and nomination committees as well, to avoid a governance risk. Again, remember to highlight this point when you are providing an answer pertaining to corporate governance. Our remuneration and risk committees look all right. The composition of it looks all right. But when you look at our audit and nomination committee, we do not have enough independent non-executive directors, thereby being in a position to fall in line with corporate governance regulation. So highlight this fact as well. Again, you'd get marks for Preseen application. And the chief internal auditor reports to the audit committee. That's exactly what is expected as per corporate governance guidelines. It is in line with corporate governance best practices. So based on all this information, the areas which are tested or the syllabus content which are tested are the Combined Code of Corporate Governance UK, which falls under the E3 syllabus, as well as corporate political activity, which falls under P3, can be tested as well. All right, so I'm not going to go further. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to the company and highlight what actually happens within the company. If you watch the Preseen analysis video, the third video, then you are in a position to better understand the internal dynamics of the company. All right, so any questions? I'm going to pause the recording. You can raise any of your concerns now. All right, folks, so let me shift your attention towards what you are supposed to do within this week. According to our study plan, you were supposed to attend the second webinar, which we have already done. And you are supposed to watch the 4 Preseen analysis videos and refer to the annotated Preseen. First watch the 4 Preseen analysis videos, then go through the annotated Preseen on your own, which will help you further understand what I've highlighted within the videos, and refer to the financial analysis, industry analysis, and top 20 issue slides, and attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform. Okay. So within this week, towards the weekend, I would urge you to attempt the first mock via our exam platform. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm not giving you any guidance about how to develop answer plans, what you need to do to manage your time. I just need you guys to understand where you stand as a student, because by understanding your shortcomings, you are in a position to figure out ways to overcome all your issues. So before we do the third webinar, answer planning technique, where I'll be talking about what you need to do when it comes to developing answer structures and managing your time. Before I give you all these tips, before I coach you in these areas, I want you guys to attempt mock number 1 on your own. Then you'd learn where you stand, and then you are in a position to learn from your mistakes. Then after the third webinar is done, you'd understand what your real shortcomings are. Okay, so you have to do a lot within this week, but other than that, if you look at the other weeks from week 2 onwards, your workload keeps on decreasing, and towards the last week or a week before the exam, within the 6th week, you are not supposed to attempt any mock exams. You are not supposed to go through any study content. You are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 5. When you are doing it, you will be covering theory, you will be revising theory, and you would learn application, as well as you would learn how to structure the answers. Okay. And you are supposed to reread the annotated Preseen one last time, and you have to stop preparations a day prior to the exam, sleep, eat, and rest well. Why am I saying this? Because if you have a positive mindset, then your chances of passing the exam is extremely high. Okay, and if you are yet to join our tutor-led SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, you can click on this button and join now. So if you stick to our study plan on a weekly basis, you just need to find 3 hours, sit in one place, and attempt a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us. So let's assume you attempt a mock on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you are supposed to attend the masterclass or watch the recorded versions of the masterclasses. Then you'd understand the concepts which are highlighted within the answers, and the type of answers you are supposed to provide at your exam. You'd have a proper understanding about it after attending a masterclass. And by Wednesday, if you attempted the mock on Monday, within 48 hours, we will provide you with tutor feedback. So Monday, you attempt the mock. Tuesday, you watch the master classes and learn theory and application. Then on Wednesday, you'd get your hands on the tutor feedback. Then you are in a position to figure out what your shortcomings are. Then utilizing the remaining days of the week, utilizing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can focus on improving your shortcomings. Yeah, getting rid of your shortcomings. And for instance, if your answering technique or answer planning technique is not up to par, if you are taking a lot of time to develop answer plans, you can utilize the remaining days of the week to improve on these areas. If your typing speed is not up to standard, you can focus on improving your typing speed. So you'd have ample amount of time to prepare and improve your answers if you attempt mocks on a weekly basis. Don't wait until the last moment. Start preparations right now. Then closer to the exam, you will be relaxing when others are trying to do everything under the sun. When others are stressed, you'll have a positive mindset. And this is going to be extremely beneficial for you at the real exam, because remember, you're supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager. As a senior finance manager, you have to be open-minded at all times. You have to have a positive mindset. If that is the case, you'd take correct decisions. And if you take correct decisions, and if you provide the accurate recommendations, you'd gain good marks at your exam. and you'd easily pass the SCS exam. So I'm telling you, out of 11 years of tutoring experience, stick to this study plan. Just attempt a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us. And our pass rate is 98% for SCS. So the pass rate speaks for itself. Stick to the study plan. You can easily gain more than 110 marks. All right, so it brings us to the end of tonight's webinar. You can contact us via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or simply drop us an email or WhatsApp us on this number. I invite you guys to follow our social media pages. Go through our blog posts. You can find it via the website itself. So if you refer to all these articles, you are in a position to figure out the technicalities pertaining to your case study exam. And the recorded version of this session will be uploaded onto our website as well as on YouTube. And we will be sharing, as I told you earlier, we will be sharing 3 TikTok videos summarizing the entire Preseen within 9 minutes, which will help you immensely to remember the most important points which are highlighted within the Preseen. All right. Having said that, it brings us to the end of tonight's session. Thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you guys on Saturday, where I'll teach you how to develop answer plans and how to manage your time. Thank you very much and good night.